Hey all, Hipper here. Welcome to the channel, and today we're looking at fleet setups. So of course this is season 3 in Sea of Conquest, and as I'm sure you realize, you have a flagship and a number of mini ships following you around. That's your fleet, and that's what I'm going to tell you how you can upgrade the best way possible in this video here. So the best way to get the most power out of your fleet is to make sure that you understand all the variables involved. And of course, ships are just one of the variables. And that's also why in this video, I'm not going to tell you, oh, this is the best build, or this is where you should put Magnus, or anything like that, because it all depends. Sure, there's a few general rules that you should not cross, but overall, this game is fantastic because it lets you build like whatever build that you think is right for your playstyle, right? So don't go too deeply into what other people do. Sure, yes, in general it might be right, but perhaps it's not right for you because it all depends on all the other variables that are in play. So first of all, you should understand which ships you have available and what their strengths are. Now, if you're in Season 1, this is not so much of a problem, but once you get to Season 2, you will get access to epic ships and craftable ships. And that adds a lot of variables to how you actually want your fleet to look and also perform. Because craftable ships, one, you can craft them and they're much better than the Season 1 ships, and you can get craftable ships up to legendary quality, right? So of course you want the legendary quality, but sometimes you're not that lucky and you have to make do with epic or even a rare ship. So you need to think ahead. You need to know which ships do I have now, what are their strengths, and looking at the next season, upcoming season, say Season 2 or Season 3, what ships will be available then, and what ships should I then try to focus on? Because you need a plan to be strong in this game. You cannot just, you shouldn't fail to plan, because then you are planning to fail. Alright, so after you have understood what ships you have available and what your roadmap is for what ships you will pick up down the line, you have to understand what items you have available. This is probably the easiest part, because these you can get fairly easy by just killing monsters. But of course they have to complement your ship and also your playstyle, right? For example, here we're looking at the Sovereign of the Sea on the flagship. Now there's nothing stopping you from putting Sovereign on the Sea on all your ships to make a very, very tanky fleet, right? If you do that, then all bets are off when it comes to, well, most bets are off when it comes to heroes and, placement of such. Because maybe you want a full healer on all ships, perhaps. It totally depends on your setup and what you're going for in the game. So for example, if you do a lot of auto trading and you hate getting sunk all the time, it would make sense to make a very, very tanky build. And, get stuff that like removes the enemy's critical rate and gives you more hit points and stuff like that. It totally depends on what your aim in the game is. So don't just trust YouTube videos that tells you, oh, you need to put, this hero on this ship always. Always, that's the way. It's not like that, right? You need a plan and you follow your plan. Alright, so after looking at your items and making a plan there for what you're actually trying to achieve, then you should look at your ships again, but this time we're looking at the skills on the ships. Now you don't have to worry about this in Season 1 and only a little bit in Season 2, but it becomes very important in Season 3 onwards. Because obviously you want skills that complement the skills of your ship. And as you can see, each ship has 4 skills. One of them you cannot change, it's permanent, but you can choose to refine one of the skills if you don't like it. And if you purchase, a legendary ship outright, you will get the best skills available, so you don't have to worry about that. But if you craft it, then it's a little bit more tinkering here. And there's no guarantee that you're going to get the best build possible if you craft the ship right. There's a bit of RNG involved here, and, that's part of the game. So as with everything, you need to plan the upgrades of your ship as well. So after you have refined the skills, you also need to figure out, okay, which ships am I going to keep and which ships am I going to throw away? So obviously the ships you're going to throw away, do not waste resources in upgrading them. Maybe you keep them as a temporary ship for a few weeks. Don't worry about it. Unless you're doing PvP all the time, then I wouldn't waste resources on that, right? So that's another variable you have to take into account when you're building your fleet. So the next thing you gotta consider when you're building your fleet is fairly obvious, it's the heroes you have available. And again, they come in different qualities from rare, epic, all the way to legendary. Of course, the legendary heroes are better once you have them leveled up a bit, right? Because a low level legendary hero is usually worse than a high level epic hero. So keep that in mind as well. So of course, you want to get heroes that complement the ships you have available. Or the other way around. It all depends on what you've got access to, say, halfway through season 1. That's when you can start to lay out a plan of how you're going to grow in the game. So say halfway through season 1, you have got a cutthroat captain. Well, it would make sense to try to aim for a cutthroat ship then. Or the other way around, if you have a cutthroat ship but no cutthroat heroes, it would make sense to aim for the probably the legendary heroes. And the way to do that, I keep underlining this, is to look at the calendar. Don't just waste your golden conchs by anytime you have them, go in and use them. That's not how you succeed in the game. You have to wait until the hero that you want or the hero that you need is available, and then go for it. And of course, again, this takes planning, and you have to know what you're actually going for. So for example, if you're going for bones, wait for a week where bones is available and then save all your conchs for that specific purpose. And the same goes with trinkets, right? Don't waste your conchs. These are very valuable, and you really need to know what your plan is. Alright, so let's talk about trinkets for a bit here, because after you got your heroes and after you rank your heroes, then you have to upgrade and rank your trinkets as well. And of course, there's a whole host of different trinkets, and they keep being added to the game, and the rules also keep changing, which is a bit unfortunate. But you want to get legendary trinkets again. And again, don't forget that a high level epic trinket is usually more powerful than a low level legendary trinket. So only switch to the legendary trinkets once they're actually more powerful. And of course, again, this depends entirely on your hero and your build and your trinket levels. Alright, so once you've got all these variables under control, you have a plan, you have looked in the calendar, you know what you're going to achieve. That's when you can actually start to, put your fleet together and plan for your ships, plan for your heroes, and try to grow your power in the best way possible. I'm not saying it's easy, it's not. And most people, they have different aims in the game. And there is a quick deploy function in here. Now this will give you a usable build, but it will not give you a specialized build, right? So if you're going for something special, you have to do it by yourself. And that's exactly what I'm doing here. I have, a pretty standard build here, I would say. There's nothing really out of the ordinary here, except for my epic ship. It's a little bit out of, the normal way of doing things. Now, for example, most people tell you to put Cordelia on your flagship, and I do have her on my flagship here, but that's just because I don't have space anywhere else. But actually, Cordelia feeds off attack, and she actually does better on a ship with a higher attack than your flagship. So just keep that in mind. And Magnus, he's a gunner. He can pretty much fit on any ship, but most people have him on the flagship, and I understand why, but in some cases, that's not the right choice. So I did mention a few basic rules here in the beginning, and one of those rules are you should put the heroes in the spot where they belong. So here I switched Tanaka and Adeline around, and you can see now the first mate is in the gunner spot and the other way, and that lowers your power, and you should in general never do that. It's better just to pick a random hero that fits better in that slot than putting a hero that does not fit in the slot in there, because that's going to cost you power. Because you don't get that 20% boost to everything. So if there's one rule in the game you should abide by, that's the one. And that's also why heroes like Cordelia, who are multi-heroes, they can fit anywhere, are very, very good to have. Because there's only a few of them in the game, and they fit in anywhere, and you don't lose that 20% bonus. So like I said, that's probably the only strict rule I would abide by in the game. So that's my little quick guide here to how to set up your fleet. And really setting up the fleet is the least of your troubles. Like, there's a lot of work that has to be done ahead. Like, you have to have your ships, have to have your heroes, have to have your trinkets, have to have your items, have to refine your skills and all sorts of things. And once that's done, or while you're doing that, right, when you're playing through season 1, 2, 3, then you slowly refine your fleet. Like, there's no such thing as a finished fleet, right? It's always a work in progress. So again, hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give me a like, and I hope I see you out there.